Hey everybody, Jeff Schneider here, and today we're going to dive into some very practical applications of secondary dominant chords. Now, here's the thing. If you don't know about secondary dominant chords, you've got to learn them because they are one of the most important chords for making a basic chord progression sound more interesting, more exciting, more soulful even, especially if you're diving into jazz and R&B music. So what is a secondary dominant chord? It is the 5 of whatever chord you're going to, the 5 of X, as I like to call it. X is the chord you're approaching, so you want to think about what is the 5 of the chord you're approaching. This will make more sense as we dive into the example. So here's a basic version of the first phrase to America the Beautiful. Of course, the melody goes like this. And the simple chord progression that I wrote out here is just making use of the 1 chord, the 2 chord, and the 5 chord within the key of C major. So something like that. By the way, if you don't know about 1 chords, 2 chords, 5 chords, and the rest of those numbers, if you look at my chord scale charts here, you'll see we're in the key of C major, and if you zoom in, there's the 1 chord at C major, the 2 chord is D minor, and the 5 chord is G7. These charts are really, really helpful, especially when it comes to figuring out what the 5 of the chord you're going to is. Remember, 5 of X, that's what the secondary dominant is all about. You can get these charts for free, and the link is in the description below. I have them in all keys, major and minor. Really, really helpful resource to have. So let's jump into it. The first thing that we're gonna do is set up our very first chord, which is C major. So let's ask the question, what is the 5 of X? What's the 5 of the chord we're going to? In this case, we're going to a C major chord, and we're gonna use the 5 chord, which is G, or G7. So let's do something like this. Instead of just starting on C major, let's take that pickup note in the melody, that G right there, and let's do like a G7 of some sort, but let's actually do G over F. So this right here. This is a G major with the 7 in the bottom. So here is a G major chord with an F in the bass, also known as G over F, but you could also call it G7 over F, whatever you want to do. So here we go. And then that's going to lead very nicely into a C major over E. I do the C over E because in the bottom there, that F resolves beautifully down to the E. Now the next chord is still C major. If I just played the basic version, when I have this E in the melody, it's still a C major chord. So we're gonna do the same thing. What's the 5 of C? We're gonna do some kind of G7 again. Here we go. All right, so that got a little fancy. I'm gonna break it down for you. The voicing I played there was a G13 flat 9. So we're gonna insert G13 with a flat 9, and that's gonna go, I'm gonna move this D minor 7 over a little bit to give us more room, and that's gonna go to, I think I played like a C6-9 or something like that. Again, nice and slow. That sounds pretty good. You don't have to play the 6-9. You can just play a basic C major. Or you could play C major 7. Any of those will work. Then we have to think about how we're going to set up the next chord, which is D minor 7. Ask yourself the question, what is the 5 of the chord we're going to? Now you can look up the chord scale chart, go to the D minor one, and find out what's the 5 of D minor. If you do want to go to the charts, make sure you look up the harmonic minor version of D minor, because that's going to give you the correct 5 chord. So remember, it's harmonic minor when you're figuring out the secondary dominant going to a minor chord like we have here. What's the 5 chord? It's A7, some kind of A7. Let me erase this circle, and I'll take that one out as well. So we're going to a D minor 7 via some kind of A7. Let's see here. So we ended up on this chord right here, this C6-9. And then why don't we keep that smooth bass line action that I was doing before when I went from the F, when I went from the F to the E. Let's do another half step. This time we'll go up. So we'll do, instead of just a regular A7 chord, let's put the C sharp in the bottom voice. So we'll move this over a bit, and we'll do some kind of an A7 over C sharp. This is going to give us the C, which goes up to the C sharp, and that goes up to the D. Really nice voice leading in the bottom there. So it sounds like this. That's nice. C6-9, A7 over C sharp, and I do that little grace note in there that gives it a little bit more spice. That's the E flat going up to the E natural, and that resolves to D minor 7. Now it's technically a D minor 11 because I have the G in there. You don't have to write that in, but it's a D minor 11 technically. So, and then same thing. What's coming up? G7. So how do we set up the G7? We're just going to keep rinsing and repeating here. What is the 5 of the chord we're going to? The 5 of G7 is D7. You can even just think, what's the 5 of G actually? For instance, if you went back to the charts and you went to the G major chart, right there, you look at the 5 chord, boom, it's a D7. So we're going to do some kind of a D7 right in here. And I like this half step action, so let's put the 3rd in the bass. We're going to put the F sharp down there, and that's going to lead up nicely into the G. So where were we? This is from the A7 over C sharp. And then D7 over F sharp. And I'm just playing a regular G there. I'm not even going to do the G7. Let's hear what it would sound like with the G7. That sounds good too. I'm fine with either. All right, but let's keep it as G because what we're going to do next actually is set up this D minor chord right here. What is the 5 of that D minor 7? We already did this when we set up this D minor 7. It's the same thing. It's A7. So we're going to do some kind of A7, but again with a twist. This time, instead of putting the 3rd in the bass, let's check this out. We're going to do the 7 in the bass, just like we did here. So it's going to be an A major over G. Now, why is this cool? Well, first listen to it. So here's the G major chord. I'll back it up a little bit more. A7 over C sharp. Alrighty, so what happened there? I played a G major chord, and then the bass note stays the same. We go from G to G, and the top part of the chord changes. You go from a G triad to an A triad over that G. And then again, because this G is the 7 of this, it's kind of like an A7 chord, the 7 resolves down to the 3rd of D minor. So we're going to do D minor. I'm going to take out the 7, and we're going to do D minor over F. Now, real quick, I know I'm packing a lot in here. If you want a more thorough step-by-step walkthrough of all of this kind of information, you've got to check out my Jazz R&B Chord Accelerator. It's everything I know about this kind of harmony, how to build voicings, how to craft chord progressions, how to reharmonize, how to use more complex chords like diminished chords and all kinds of things, altered extensions, everything I know about this kind of music, this jazzy R&B style. It is on sale right now, but just for a few more days. The sale ends at the end of this weekend. Click that link in the description below. It's also somewhere up on the screen. But let's finish off this reharmonization here. So we have a G major chord, and then the top part of that chord goes up, and the bottom part stays the same. And that is essentially A over G, or you could call it A7 over G, which leads us into D minor over F. Now, is it time to set up the G7? Not quite yet. We still have a little bit more D minor, so we're going to move this G7 over a little bit to give ourselves some more room, and we're going to do D minor here. We're going to go back to D minor, but we're going to insert another one of those secondary dominants between. It's still going to be some kind of A7 because that is the 5 of the chord we're going to. We're going to D minor, so in between the D minor and the D minor, essentially, we have a D minor here and a D minor here, is going to be, again, some kind of A7. And since we have this bass line that we've established going down, this kind of a thing, where was it? Something like this. Let's keep it going. We'll go down. We'll do A7 over E now. So let's see, A7 over E. And that will lead us to D minor. And we can make it D minor 7, add a little bit more jazz in there. So that whole descending bass line. And then we can just finish it off, actually. We've done a lot of harmony so far in this one phrase, so let's just do the D minor 7 to the G7, and then we can end on some kind of C major 7 there. So the whole thing sounds like this. The key thing to remember is that you have to play the 5 of X. X is whatever chord you're going to, and then from there you can just play around with different inversions, think about the voice leading, work in some different extensions. And again, if you want a deeper look into all of that stuff and more, definitely check out my Jazz R&B Chord Accelerator before the sale ends this weekend. Again, it's everything I know about how to play this kind of music, and I walk you through everything step by step with clear explanations and assignments so you can start applying what you're learning right away. To learn more, click the link in the description below, and if you want to watch another video, you can click right over here, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.